My kids are raised. Everybody's fine. Maybe it's time I take care of myself. Because when that day comes and you go up to the pearly gates and you're walking up the stairs and you're seeing God in front of you and you just ask that question, did I do a good job? Did I do the right thing? And just hope he says, hey, come on in. I did a good job.
So in the clip, Caitlin talked about asking yourself if you did the right thing and hope God says, hey, come on in. Now, I can't blame Caitlin for thinking this way because that is one of the things that all of the religions in the world today have in common. They teach that if you do the right thing, then you'll be saved. So much of our life is structured this way that it's insanely counterintuitive to think otherwise. And we all have a natural tendency towards this way of thinking. And some of us will think that if we just follow all of the rules, then God will let us into heaven and we'll be saved. And some others of us might think that if we follow our hearts and we do what we believe is right, then, of course, we'll be saved. And more commonly for us millennials, we tend to think that as long as we're being authentic and we have good intentions, then we'll be saved. But for those of us who believe in the Bible and we've read it, we realize that over and over, men are always trying to save themselves and they mess it up every single time. No one can live up to God's standards of morality, and no one can even live up to their own standards of morality. And when it comes to us millennials who believe that as long as we have good intentions, we'll be saved, if we dig deep enough, we'll start to find that our intentions are constantly plagued with selfishness and sinful desires. But the good news is that God knew this, and he knew that he had to meet the standards for us. And this is why God loved us so much that he put on human flesh and came into our world and lived the perfect life that we know that we couldn't live, so that way our salvation would be judged by the life that he lived rather than the life that we lived. And even more, he offers that life to us as a free gift. All we have to do is accept it. So I can relate to Caitlin in that I also believe that I was doing the right thing by being my authentic self, and I believe that God would accept me because I was doing that right thing. But now I know that even if being our authentic self was always a good thing, we aren't saved based on the good things that we do or the life that we live. Instead, we're saved by the good things that Jesus did and by the life that he lived. So if there was only one thing that I could say to Caitlin, it would be that as long as we try to qualify ourselves by what we do, then we will always condemn ourselves by those same standards. We can't work for our salvation because, as Paul says, now to the one who works, wages are not credited as a gift but as an obligation. However, to the one who does not work but trusts God who justifies the ungodly, their faith is credited as righteousness. So it's not by being good that we're saved, because just as Paul just said, God justifies the ungodly, not the godly. It's only by his free gift of grace that we can be saved.